greet you all in the name of the Lord. Thank you for watching this video. This video is directed at people in the church because I have actually heard online many people preach nowadays that you don't need to be perfect, you don't need to be holy. Jesus did that for you on the cross. He was perfect and he was holy for you, so you don't need to try and be holy. Just live life continuing as you are and just believe in what Jesus has done for you. And I believe it's important that we all know that this teaching is wrong. It is false and it is not biblical. Jesus did not die for us to continue living in sin. He died for us so that through him we may be able to actually live according to the will of God and adopt the nature of God that we did not have naturally. And it seems as though maybe people who preach such a false teaching do so because maybe they tried to be holy many times. They tried to live a life without sin many times and failed. So why is it that in our own power and our own strength, some people fail to live life without sin? It's because our minds and their minds have not yet been renewed. Their hearts have not yet been circumcised. And I'll go into what I mean by that right now. Let us read Romans chapter 12, verse 1 to 2. It says, I beseech you therefore, brethren, by the mercies of God, that you present yourselves, your bodies a living sacrifice, holy and acceptable to God, which is your reasonable service. And verse 2 says, and do not be conformed to this world, but be transformed by the renewing of your mind, that you may prove what is that good and acceptable and perfect will of God. So verse 1, the Bible says that we should present ourselves as a living sacrifice, meaning being dead to sin, but yet alive in obedience to God. Being dead to your former desires and passions and your former way of life in sin, and now sacrificing that to now living in obedience to God. It is a life that is holy, a life that is acceptable to God, and is our reasonable service. Any other service to God is futile if this service has not yet been accomplished in our lives. Verse 2 says further, do not be conformed to this world. In other words, don't behave like the people in this world, live like the people in this world like you used to when you were living in sin before you came to Christ, but be transformed by the renewing of your mind, that you may prove what is that good and acceptable and perfect will of God. In other words, you need to first be renewed in your mind before you can actually live a life without sin. You cannot successfully live a life without sin without your mind being renewed first, without your heart being renewed. So then what does it actually mean to be renewed, to have your mind renewed? What does that mean? What does that look like? I'll deal with that in the next video by God's grace.